From the age-old traditions to the modern homestead, discovering the dedication, resilience, and love that crafts our food, nurtures our land, and builds community. Welcome to the Farm2Table Report, the heartbeat of the homesteading community, with your host, Ryan Hooper.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome into the Farm2Table Report. I am Ryan. Most of you know me from the Farm2Table Direct Show, and the Farm2Table Report is our latest change in the things we're doing at the Farm2Table Direct Show. We've talked about it on a previous video, and we mentioned the Farm2Table Report. We're going to be doing this Sunday evenings live. As often as possible in studio here at my home where I am. Occasionally might have to do things a little different, from the phone. For those of you who know, been keeping up, we're getting ready to move and going to be moving up to our homestead. That's the Three Nails Media, Three Nails Homestead. I won't say Three Nails Media, but that's who's producing. But anyway, welcome in. Just to kind of give you a little bit of rundown on what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over news, little headlines that have come up that we've come across in our searches that we think are interesting, and you might find interesting too. Now, we're not going to dig very deep into those. It's important just to kind of hit certain news highlights. There's options for digging deep later, and we'll do that at other times, and you can do your own research as we give those pieces of information. You can follow it up. We always encourage, don't just take our word for it here at the report, but do your own homework. We're also going to cover history from time to time. If there's something that we come across from a historical event or something that has happened in the past that directly affects farmers, ranchers, homesteaders in particular, because that's the area that we that matter to us, I guess you might say, serving the community of homesteaders. We're also going to talk about upcoming events, be that expos or conferences, just an event day, homesteaders days, those types of things, anything that is of interest to the homesteading community. So I would say that if you have an event in your area, or if you know about an event, shoot it over to me at 3 Nails, that's the number 3 Nails Media at Proton, PROTON.me, and I will repeat that at the end of the broadcast. And we can get it listed, help us keep up. There are some events further out on the calendar that I may not get to this week, but as they roll closer, I'll definitely be promoting them, and as I get my list built bigger. But anyway, so that's definitely something we want to do, make people aware of things going on that they can get out there and be a part of. The other thing we're going to talk about, we'll be doing what we call a homestead highlight. And each week we'll pick a homestead that we know about, and maybe they have a YouTube channel or a Facebook page, but somebody that we're aware of or become aware of that has something happen, or they have something they've put out that we think is a good thing and want to share, but also just to kind of highlight and kind of point out homesteaders that are out there doing each and every day, and just kind of introduce y'all to them if you don't already know them, and just kind of highlight them. Anyway, homestead highlights. And so that's kind of the 4 categories of things that we're going to focus on here on the Farm2Table Report. We want to be the center of information for homesteaders, ranchers, farmers, as we find them to be like-minded communities. We feel that that's very important to build community, to be networking with other homesteaders, with your neighbors, the people in your community proper, your actual community that you live in. And as we have talked to other people like Stuart from over at Restoration Farms, and as we talked to the folks over at Olive Branch and Aquaponics and others, and even Dakota and Shayla and them with Old Pecan Homestead, their involvement in their local community through different things and how they reach out and host things and just really become part of community. It was like that's really what we're after with that, and that's what we want to be a part of and highlight. So that's kind of where we're going with that. But anyway, we're going to get on over to the news headlines. My brother Keith, who many of y'all know from the Farm to Table Direct show, also helps me with research and technical stuff, and he's sent me over some, and I checked those out, and then I had a couple of my own. But anyway, we're going to get right into that, and we're just going to jump on over here to, and I'm going to show you my screen. And but anyway, so here we go. Let me see the first, and just kind of forgive me, I had it over on something else. Outlook for U.S. protein prices in 2023-2024. That's from Grow Intelligence. That was September 11th, 2023 is when this came out. It said U.S. meat prices have been one of the most volatile elements for driving food costs over the past couple of years. What happened to beef prices of beef, pork, and chicken for the rest of 2023 and into 2024 will significantly impact household budgets and business profit. Overall, food price inflation has moderated sharply. It talks about that food prices for September are down 1.4% from a year ago, but the index is still up 24% from January 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020. Beef, continued volatility. Beef prices are up 28.6%, as they usually do, and chicken prices are down 23.5%. Again, normal things as the summer comes to a close and Labor Day has gone by. The chicken, for some reason or other, goes down. But you can check out Gross Custom Price Index application. Anyway, meat producers are likely to limit the amount of new supplies. Beef prices will likely break new records in 2024 because the beef population's at its lowest since 2015, and the small breeding herds will continue to shrink in 2024, likely hitting a 60-year low. So anyway, let me had something come in. Anyway, so that's animal prices are harvested for meat down 4%. Beef wholesale prices have soared to records. Anyway, sorry folks, I don't want to interrupt. I'm kind of having to get Keith, my brother Keith, on board with everything. Let him know I'm already streaming. So hey, you get to be along some of the new technical things. But anyway, so beef wholesale prices above 300 weight. That's on cut weight. Price full your track 12 to 15 cents above last year. So again, what it boils down to, beef prices are going up. A retail beef price setting records, and that's driving people off. Now, California rule could depress pork. California's Proposition 12. I won't get dig too into this because I'll get mad about it, and trying to stay away from that stuff. It just California passes a law and it affects the whole country. But anyway, pork could is about $1 a pound, down 10% over the year. Anyway, producers are aggressively thinning their sow herds. Pork can't be sold in California; it'll need to be sold in other states. So it's just going to chicken prices volatile. Broiler production defied expectations of shrinkage. But anyway, so chicken prices could be volatile in 2024. I don't like that. I work in the poultry industry. So hopefully that doesn't happen. So that's just kind of that first headline that we came across there. Again, that's from Grow Intelligence. Moving right along, right over here, we're going to talk about, this is from BPR, Business and Politics. Anyway, trucker warns catastrophic Biden EPA restrictions could cripple American food supply. As you know, with the Farm to Table Direct show, we are all about the food supply chain and shortening it and things of that nature. And what this trucker has warned is that the latest emission rules that were announced in January, officially enacted in March, new emission rules are significantly more stringent, wider range of heavy-duty engines, according to the EPA. Problem, according to truckers like JKC Trucking co-owner Mike Kucharski, is that new rules could bankrupt truckers and thus destroy America's supply chain. He appeared on Fox and Friends this last Friday, explained that the regulations. Let me see, that was September 10th. So yeah, just a few days ago. Anyway, regulations are not practical and possible for several reasons. The fact that costs are astronomical, and most truckers won't be able to afford these things. As somebody who drives a truck and understands that, man, the costs are high. I've worked over the road, been heavily involved with over the road stuff. But anyway, new clean diesel tractor, 180 to 200,000. Actually, those things can go way higher. I've seen 245, 275, depending on what brand of truck you buy. Now they're talking about an electric tractor. The Elon Musk company, Tesla, has come out with an electric truck and stuff. Cost upwards of $480,000. That's $500,000, folks. And I mean, that's crazy. Most people can't afford that. Most carriers can't afford that. Didn't say that some sort of conservative. He said it as a trucker. He's not an activist. But anyway, so that's just something that's coming down, folks. I mean, as they put the squeeze through all this economics and through EPA restrictions and forcing things, it's going to make transportation get tougher, which is going to, again, drive the price. So that goes back to being prepared, and there's no better way than having your own food and having control of that. But we're not going to dig too deep into that. Let me see. This one here, right to farm. That's something we're big about. You should be able to farm your land. I mean, they understand being safe and being smart, but most farmers are pretty good about that, I think. But anyway, Tennessee farmers fight chicken litter ban. This is Kelly Griggs, Matt Griggs and Kelly Griggs, courtesy of Griggs Farms. This article came out September 14th, so it's just a couple of days ago, by Chris Bennett. That's from agweb.com. Anyway, Matt Griggs and Bubba Johnson. Man, Tennessee. Anyway, got to have a Bubba. Everybody needs a Bubba. For the past 14 years, the farmers have applied chicken litter to their row crops, but now face a local government ban on further application with an environmental court soon. What's happened here is on September 5th, the City Council of Jackson, Tennessee, I know it's Johnny Cash song, Let's Go to Jackson. Anyway, passed a motion 9-0. It was unanimous to outlaw chicken litter use on farmland within the city limits due to odor issues. Fifth generation producer Griggs grows corn, cotton, soybeans, and wheat in Madison and Crockett counties. Chicken litter is the backbone of his nutrient program, and 450 of his acres, 30% of his total farmland, so he's got a very large amount of land, are within the Jackson city limits. Key to that, Jackson annexed his ground 15 years ago and started putting up subdivisions, continued building them. And they want green, says people in the city want green food, but they move out to the country and expect manicured fields and big red barns. The reality of farming is bugs, dust, and manure, and anybody who's done any farming knows that. He just asked people to be reasonable. The city council's main office did not respond to questions about the proposed ban, and multiple city councilors did not respond as well. Anyway, Bubba grows soybeans with 400 acres inside the city limits for over a decade. He's been spread chicken litter. In 2023, the weather delayed his hand. Wet conditions closed the spring. He applied later in August and got a call from a Jackson City rep. Told me my ground was putting out an offensive odor. Well, I've shoveled chicken litter, and I can tell you it's offensive. But it is, it's an awesome thing. Anyway, that's what's going on down in Jackson, folks, is, now, Tennessee has a right to farm statute that protects the use of chicken litter as a standard agricultural practice. So there's really now a question: is the city has passed an ordinance that seems to go against the state's right to farm bill. So there's going to be some fighting going on there, and so I mean it's a lot of that stuff. Anyway, these people use chicken litter, and it's about as natural as it get. So anyway, it's these people are pretty upset, as they should be. They've got according to the council, a $50 fine per day may be in play. The financial penalties were defined as $50 to pay for stockpiling. Is it for spreading? Anyway, it's 50 days while it smells. Anyway, it's overreach by people that don't understand how their food is grown. Now, those of us that have grown some food, we know, and so it's just they're talking about groundwater is what they're trying to stand behind now. But It's all political speech, according to Griggs. So, I mean, that's just what's going on, folks. I mean, more government overreach. These farmers are trying to do things the right way. They didn't ask to be brought into the city. They were out in the country, and they got annexed. They didn't have a choice. And now people are moving in, and I think we've all heard that story before. So that's just kind of a roundup. Some of the headlines we come across this week. That is... just what we felt was newsworthy. So, from talking about the price of, proteins to trucking, what's going on there, just a little bit with the right to farm. I am going to jump over to this one. This is a little bit different. This is Second Amendment for all y'all folks out there that, want to keep track of more government overreach. New Mexico judge blocks the Democrat governor's attempt to suspend gun rights. Federal judge on Wednesday temporarily blocked New Mexico Governor Michelle Grisham's emergency order suspending the right to carry firearms in public in Albuquerque and the surrounding county. The Democrat summary directive sought to ban the concealed and open carry of firearms in New Mexico's most populous metro area for 30 days on public health grounds in response to recent shootings in the land of Enchantment, New Mexico. They just want the right to carry their guns, U.S. District Court judge said Tuesday, ruling the governor's ban flouted the Supreme Court's 2022 decision in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, which made it clear that the Second Amendment protects the right to carry a handgun outside the home for self-defense. I don't blame her, said of Louis Grisham order before explaining they had to grapple with a more narrow question concerning the rights of citizens. There's that person. There's the judge. Anyway, state police had authority under Grisham's order to influence temporary ban by assessing 7 penalties and fines up to $5,000 for people found carrying a firearm in public. But Albuquerque Police Chief Harold Medina said he wouldn't enforce the ban. Bernalillo County Sheriff John Allen also opposed the order, calling it unconstitutional. And today, on this, judge temporarily blocked sections of our public health order, but recognized a significant problem of gun violence in the state. Refused to resign to the status quo as governor. I see the pain of families. So once again, they're blaming the guns and not the person holding the guns. It's at the end of the day, I've never seen a gun load itself, aim itself, shoot itself, and this is no exception. So anyway, as you can see, they got backlash from law enforcement, gun right advocates. Republican state lawmakers called for an impeachment proceeding against the government in response. Judge Timbersport will remain in place till October 3rd court hearing. So this is more to follow. This is reported by the New York Post. So anyway, you're not going to get the skinny. But anyway, it's So once again, the Second Amendment's they're still kind of coming after it, and whatever you think about that, that's just something that's going on in the world of the Second Amendment, and we felt that was an important thing to talk about, as I do support our Constitution and believe in all of our Constitution, and so anyway, there it is. Should show you. Pay attention to your elected officials, folks. Pay attention to what they're doing, because they will try to slip some stuff under and make it sound real good. So anyway, that's the headlines. That's the news that we've seen going on. So I'm going to transition over. This week I do actually have a little bit of history. This is reported by AgWeb, which is part of the Farm Journal. But anyway, got quite a bit of interesting stuff. But anyway, bloodshed cometh when American farmers were beaten, gassed, and jailed. This was by Chris Bennett, September 12th, 2023. Anyway, maybe hard for folks to believe, but it all happened. American farmers betrayed, beaten, and tear-gassed, herded, and imprisoned by their own government for daring to protest authority. Welcome to rebellion. Farming protests and trucking protests around the world have been in the media and, recently, and, lots going on. But one giant cause for the U.S. agriculture became one small cut when a Missouri farmer pulled a knife. As government gunmen hung it on rooftops, wielding police batons, closed ranks. Jesse Small, along with his son Joe Small, darted between the cab, a U.S.-bound produce truck, slashed through the airlines. Backed by 250 fellow farmers, Small exposed a government narrative and lit the fuse on one of the most significant, yet forgotten, episodes of modern U.S. agricultural record. Protest by a small band of farming careened into a buck-wild physical melee and mass arrest, followed by thousands of incensed growers from across the U.S. descending on the border town of McAllen, Texas, threatening to tear down a county prison with tractors and trigger a breakout with a break-in as the clock rolled on for 3 days of incarceration in 1978. The farmers Jericho marched in style of Jericho in the Bible, around the facility as violence waited in the wings. Joe Small said it may be hard for some folks to believe, but it all happened, every word and then some more. Heck of a wild time he has. It was about American farmers refusing to sit back, obey, and do nothing. And it's one of the darndest stories that nobody knows about. And sorry, folks, I know that looked weird, but just got a cramp in my legs. Sorry, this is the benefit of life. Been on a tractor all day. And anyway, the late 70s, farm country faded from a financial shine, deep market rut, and high interest rates. I want to see this picture here, folks. It says wheat in 1866 was $2.06 a bushel. And in 1977, it was only $2.48. So 42 cents from 1866 to 1977. And as the sign said, that tells the story. Anyway, says everything you do in life as a farmer can't be all about profit on your farm. Sometimes you better make a stand for truth, or else you'll lose that profit later down the road. And he says he's not too impressed with farmers that never speak up. I get his point. But anyway, the American agricultural movement began in 77. I'm going to highlight and peruse these. Anyway, you had desperate men losing family land, watching their children's future slip away, and that can turn to violence real fast, said former Johnson County, Texas farmer David Center. Anyway, so yeah, they went down to this town to protest, and what they were doing, I mean, it was crazy. They went down there. They lived in Missouri Boot Hill in Kennett. Anyway, they went down. There was a protest going on. What they were doing, they reached out to the town of McAllen. Here's Joe and Jesse Small. His dad's passed away already recently. But anyway, there was protests all across. January 4th of 78, farmers set up nine-day roadblocks at 3 spots along the Canadian border, denied entry to cattle trucks. A few days later, farmers set up pickets in El Paso and blocked incoming cattle loads at the border. Laredo, producers encircled a freezer storage plant filled with multi-million pounds of Mexican beef. In Tacoma, Washington, several farmers were arrested at the docks for attempting to prevent wheat loading onto a transport ship. And in Portland, farmers surrounded a cold storage warehouse and protested meat imports. But anyway, yeah, basically what they were upset was that, the American farmer was getting cut out and money, but yet imports were coming in unchecked and everything, and they were undercutting prices, and so they were upset. They were downright mad. So anyway, they said next on the schedule, via old school prayer chain transmission and word of mouth declarations, AAM, American, beckoned the faithful to a bridge over the Rio Grande where produce and cattle flowed from Reynosa, Mexico. Details, he says, we hardly knew anything at all. Just get there, go see what is happening, and if we can help, that's it. Load up and go. I got an image right here. They piled into a brown 75 Ford station wagon that had wood grain trim, and the trio, which included a friend of theirs, fell into a convoy with several other Missouri Boot Hill farmers and hit the highway for McAllen, Texas. It says, hell-bent behind the wheel of a rumbling V8 country squire, Small had no inkling of the turmoil ahead. He was on a 15-hour drive to Mayhem and the Great Bridge Rebellion. Anyway, spanning the Rio Grande at McAllen, technically Hidalgo in South Texas, the McAllen-Hidalgo Bridge was a funnel for incoming agriculture goods, imports that incensed AAM farmers. Anyway, Texas producer Don Kimbrell here has contends state authorities were in overkill mode, and they were going to make an example of us. Said there was even a machine gun on a tripod under a tarp at the middle of the bridge. Said he didn't know if Americans or Mexicans set it up, but it was sure there. That's some serious stuff. But what they were mad about in Mexico, crops were sprayed with DDT, which was a chemical, and it's banned in the U.S., and it's been known to cause all kinds of stuff. They were bringing vegetables, fruit, and beef in, produced in ways that the USDA would never tolerate on U.S. soil. And he said they were sick of the double standard. There was nothing on the Mexican products to tell American consumers where this stuff was grown or raised. Otho Brand, McAllen's mayor, was a flashpoint of farmer anger. Brand farmed ground in both Mexico and the U.S. and was buttering his bread on both sides of the Rio Grande, contends Small. Sounds like some good old crony capitalism right there. Good old, double standard of town. Rules for thee, but not for me, as it said. He said it was shameful bringing his Mexican crops across the border, putting USDA labels on them to pretend they were grown in the U.S. He wasn't the only one because several packing plants were involved and everybody knew it. That's why we wanted to show how bad this was hurting American farming. And the solution, a staged border incident to highlight the situation for U.S. media and the public. Farmers from roughly 20 different states checking into McAllen area motels, congregating in local halls for meetings. AAM made no attempt at secrecy or surprise, and they approached Brand and requested permission for a prearranged bridge stoppage and photo opportunity. And Brand agreed to allow the gathering, provided they behaved in an orderly manner. Walk onto the bridge, stop a truck for show, gain media attention, take pictures, and leave the bridge with no harm, no foul. But Brand dealt from the bottom of the deck, according to Don Kimbrell. He's a renowned Northwest Texas farmer who actually drove an open cab tractor for 1,800 miles in the dead of winter for 21 days from the Panhandle to Washington, D.C. to demand congressional attention. Hey, folks, these people were serious. This saying our old generation knew how to protest. Well, by golly, these guys are showing it. Anyway, Kimbrell answered AAM's phone tree alarm and hopped into a crammed sedan with 5 others from Swisher County to McAllen. But anyway, the fix was in. Brand was going to try and make us look like fools, but he bit off much, much more than he could chew. It was rigged from the get-go, Small echoes, walking into a trap. But anyway, they were all these farmers, about 250 farmers, Quarter Mile Bridge, walking where they believed was a ceremonial protest. Quickly caught wind of a setup. We headed towards the bridge, started seeing law enforcement on top of nearby buildings with rifles. We were pointing up at the rooftops and counted about 50 armed gunmen. What the heck was going on, he says. This was before we even reached the bridge. We got on the bridge, there was law enforcement everywhere. He says it was strange, though. They didn't have any regular markings on their uniforms. Small recollection is backed by Gerald McCathern, an AAM leader and high-profile Texas farmer from Deaf Smith County, who described police with no nameplates or visible identification in From the White House to the Hooskow is the book. Anyway, that's what he described it. Kimbrell claims state authorities were in overkill mode, brought in 5 divisions of police to control us and had troopers ready. Going to make an example, he says. Talked about the machine gun on the bridge. Anyway, the Smalls were among the first farmers to reach the bridge's center, and the trio helped stop the first truck to cross, as allowed by Brand. All other traffic by agreement had been held on the Mexican side. So we stopped an 18-wheeler loaded with watermelons bound for U.S. customers who assumed the melons were grown in America, but were sprayed with every banned pesticide you could name. Anyway, Small goes on to explain one of their boys slipped the driver a 20 for his trouble, and the driver ran clear back to Mexico and off the bridge. Don't know what happened to the keys. So it was supposed to be genuinely peaceful. We stopped one truck, protest, get pictures, and tell the truth to the country. That was the deal. But Mayor Brand had other plans. This is where it went sideways. Brand shrunk a 2-hour permit into minutes. And even though they'd come across the country to join in, he shut them down after no more than 15 minutes. Figured he'd make us look like fools by provoking us, they said. Police started moving around the edges of the bridge, but we couldn't tell what was happening. Anyway, signal boom and cable wrecker rolled for the bridge's center and hooked onto the watermelon truck. That's what was happening. Jesse Small read the tea leaves faster than any other producer and prepared to foul Brand's plans. Folks, this is like better than a movie or a good book. Anyway, having forgotten his pocket knife on the motel, he borrowed from a Georgia farmer, slapped a 4-inch double-bladed lock back in Jesse's hand. Leaning over the rails between the cab and the trailer, Jesse slashed through the brake lines, releasing a gush of air and locking the truck's brakes. Trailer's brakes in particular, and the truck. No air, no brakes. They don't release. Anyway, pivoted to return the knife, but the Georgia farmer realized what was going on and said, "Nope, Jesse, that's your knife now." But anyway, Jesse slipped the blade into his pocket and waited for the fireworks. Said the wrecker didn't have a clue the truck was locked solid. Anyway, the driver let out the clutch. The front end of the wrecker went straight up in the air, scared the living out of the driver. The wrecker crashed back down on the bridge, and both front wheels broke off, and the tires blew out. Back in them days, they were running split ring, and that kind of pressure would blow them out. Brand had factored in everything but cut brake lines. Small continues. He was furious because we crashed his party, and that's when he made his big mistake. Police barked evacuation orders, bullhorn, loudspeaker. 250 red-blooded farmers were caught in a pincer movement. Noise, distance, confusion, separation. Billy Caleb's yes. Had they resisted, MacArthur wrote in Huskow, there surely would have been bloodshed greater than that which developed at Kent State. So they couldn't shoot us. Anyway, they talking about Peasel. They were swinging batons, tear gas. Here's some pictures of that was going on. I mean, it has helmets on, batons, tear gas blowing around. They got gas masks on. Anyway, they went onto the bridge. Anyway, right here, let me see. There was some stuff going on. Anyway, that was how sad the situation was in the 70s. They tear gassed hundreds of American farmers for trying to expose what was happening. Anyway, they had prison buses parked beside the bridge's exit in a fenced-off compound, waiting to collect the farmers' frontage. So, you're kind of trying to do that. You kind of know it's already a setup. They had buses there. They were planning on this. They rounded up 200 of them, and about 50 got away. Several got put in the hospital because of injuries. So, they said if prison buses sitting there and waiting to haul you away isn't evidence of Brand's pre-plan, I don't know what is. Here's a picture of Joe Small right here. Anyway, the buses rolled to Hidalgo County Jail. Anyway, they put them up there, and they didn't have room for them. Processed 1-by-1, Miranda, Class C felony charge. But anyway, that was near capacity. Dumped them in the courtyard to sleep on the grass. You see them here. They had blankets and stuff. It was cold. It's January. It's wintertime, even down there. They wondered. But anyway, by the following morning, the story was on national news, and McAllen officials realized protests had gone viral, even in the pre-digital age. Answer 3,000 farmers from New Mexico to Georgia poured into McAllen and soon surrounded the jail in a Jericho march, demanding immediate release. The police said that produce charges if we pled guilty. They said, no, sir, we did nothing wrong. It goes on to say, but they went on stuff, and there was things going on, and they had a phone, and it was crazy. But anyway, they kept praying, and things kept happening. But the farmers were hollering, men and women, families, mad as you could get. But anyway, farmers began driving tractors onto the front steps, threatening to smash down the prison walls. They had this John Deere four-wheel drive tractor with steel around the motor with a dozer blade on it, sitting there running outside the main doors. Smallest ones, there was 3 or 4 tractors idling behind. Told the sheriff and all the officials if they weren't released by the 3rd day, they were going to straight up tear down the jail. And so anyway, one thing went on. They did finally 7 p.m. when they walked out of the Hidalgo County Jail to a cheering crowd, bowed their heads in prayer for thanks. Following day, the farmers set course, and they did for another protest, and this time the machine gun was in the bridge, was ready, and wasn't covered up by the tarp. But sometimes you got to be willing to pay the cost for what's right. Here's a picture of Don Kimbrell. Anyway, the change in fortune from farmer lockup to farmer photo op was extreme. Marched right back to that bridge. We stopped a truck with onions coming from Mexico that actually said products of Texas Brand Company. It was Othel Brand, the mayor's own vegetable produce, rolling into the U.S. from south of the border, and the media got pictures of it all. Boy, talking about exposing the highlights. Right there it is. But folks, this was just ordinary farmers that were willing to take a stand. But anyway, 1 year later, launched Coast to Coast Tractorcade. They went on to that. But what this was about was 45 years later. Here it is. But it was about country of origin labeling and letting people know where that food really came from. That's been a recent thing still today. People are bringing beef in and saying it was processed and then putting that, even though we didn't know where it came from. But so here it was, folks. I mean, this was 1978 right here in the United States of America. The American farmers protested, were beat, tear gassed, and imprisoned. Some of them put in a hospital with injuries, and it's just plumb crazy that right here. But that says it all right there. What the prices had happened, and it was under the strain at that time. And the farmers continue to be getting the short end of the shaft, so to speak. And so, but anyway, that's your little bit of history that we were talking about. And so hey. Hope you enjoyed that. You can read that on agweb.com. Just put Bloodshed Cometh in the search, and it'll bring it up, and you can read it in depth for yourself. I took a little bit of time to go through the highlights of it because, man, when I read that, I felt like I was watching I was seeing a script for a movie or a really good book. But just to show you what some good old country boys can do when they stand together. We're going to move on now, though. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of history. Hope I didn't bore you too much with it. I'm a kind of a history nut, so for me it's good reading. But anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about some upcoming events. Let's see, where we go. We'll do the first one right here. It's the Back to the Land Homesteading Festival, September 22nd and 24th. Now, that's this next weekend coming up. It's a kind of short notice. I just became aware of it. This is in Centerville, Tennessee. So anyway, there's speakers, demonstrators. Here's some pictures of it. Milking a cow. But anyway, fellowship, philosophy, and fun. Back to the Land Festival is back with a new venue, new speakers, new structure designed to connect you with the homesteading resources you need and people who will inspire you to be successful in your own ventures. So very much like some of our local stuff going on in here. It's your tickets, speaker sessions, kids activities, permaculture classes, farm-to-table potluck dinner, live music entertainment. When and where? Hickman County Ag Pavilion in Centerville, Tennessee. But anyway, you can go to backtothelandfestival.com. That's www.backtothelandfestival.com. If you happen to be in the area or you're going to be passing through, man, this would be a great thing. And it's just to let you know, these things are going all over the country. It's not just here in Arkansas, Oklahoma area, but we're going to cover some of that. Next up, let me see. Nope. Okay, Homesteaders Day. That's what it was. I'm going to flip my page here and see me so I keep track of these in order. Just a little side note, I don't have it up on the screen. Mother Earth News Fair was this last weekend. Can't remember where it was. I didn't get it out in time. Just found out about it. But hey, these things are going on. But this is the 31st annual Hardy Homesteaders Day in Hardy, Arkansas. As you see there, 31st annual Hardy Homesteaders Day. You can find that on Facebook. Hardy. And anyway, it's September 30th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Rain or shine. Oh no, I'm sorry. Rain date October 14th. So if it gets rained out here, they're going to relive Lowberg Park and other locations on Main Street in Hardy, Arkansas. But anyway, so they're going to have music. Let's see if we can go down here. Yeah, there's the page. But anyway, listen, I know from what I've been reading about it, they have period dress, they have wagons, they got food, they got vendors. Just a good time celebrating Homesteaders Day. It's just a pretty cool event right there on September 30th, Hardy, Arkansas. Next up, October 14th and 15th in Knoxville, Arkansas, just outside of Russellville. So if you find Russellville on the map, you'll find Knoxville. Homestead event, October 14th and 15th. That's located at 302 Highway 315, Knoxville, Arkansas. And for more information, you can contact Kelly at 484-374-0559. They're wanting vendors, it says here, knife and tool, scissor sharpening, demonstrations. It says honey, eggs, butter, jams, bread, freeze-dried items, and lower, just a whole list of things. But anyway, that's a homestead event for 2 days. That's a Saturday, Sunday there in October. So if you're a kid, if you're in Central Arkansas, or you're willing to travel a little bit, that's worth going to. But anyway, so of course, let me see. And I'm just going to go ahead and jump right on over here to this one. This is the big one for us. Save the date. Okie Homesteading Expo. That is going to be March 22nd and 23rd of 2024 in Pryor, Oklahoma at the Mays County Fairground. For those of you that have been, you already know what it's about. We were there last year for the first time. We're coming back this year on the Farm2Table Direct Show, and we are super excited. We've got our vendor app in. We're going to be setting up more to follow on that, but it is just going to be an awesome setup. We're going to be there. So anyway, make plans to be there. It's 2 days. This year, you have to buy a 2-day pass, whether you go 1 day or not. They're not selling single-day passes. It's $50. I think they might have an early bird special going right now where you can save a few dollars. Go check that out. You can do it at okiehomesteading.com or Okie Homesteading Expo on Facebook. So here's okiehomesteading.com. But anyway, reach out to those guys and put it on your calendar. Make a plan to be there. We're going to be there, and it's a 2-day. I mean, it's just awesome. The speakers, they've got Joel Salatin lined up. We've got Daniel Arms is going to be MC at Arms Family Homestead. I know Max. I know the Walker Farm fam. There's so many. Just go check it out. Okie Homesteading Expo. I'm not remembering everybody that's on that. So much going on there, and that was, man, what an expo that was in 2023. Can't wait for 2024. So put that on your calendar. So that's good I've got for this week in the homesteading upcoming events. I mean, it's just kind of are what they are. There we go. We're going to add more. I know there's one in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho that's already scheduled in 2024. I know which one I was forgetting. There is one it's Indiana. Yeah, I think it is. I'll get it out on my next short. I know that Olive Branch Aquaponics is going to be speaking up there. And it's up north in Indiana. It's coming up next month. I will get the dates out on that. I promise, folks. I'm sorry. I had a note made and totally forgot to grab it. So that's on me. I'll get better, I promise. But anyway, that one's that one. And so, hey, I'm glad hope you're all got these marked on your calendar, especially this right here. But I will get more of that information out as it comes in to me. So, hey, that's the upcoming events. And now we're going to move into the homestead highlights. I'm going to pull this up right here. Our focus this week, our highlight this week is Hidden Heights Farm. They share their family life, outdoor family and friends. You want to go over and see Kevin and Rachel at Hidden Heights Farm. They put out videos all the time. They are one of the co-founders of the Okie Homestead Expo. Many of y'all are aware of them already. So anyway, they're our homestead highlight this week, and what we're talking about here is they just put this out. Rachel shared this, and so I don't feel like it's she put it on Facebook, so it's public information. But she had something happen recently that man can happen to any of us, and that's just a simple overlooking a mistake, something. And in fact, Keith just recently had this happen in his own basement, his own storage. But what she's talking about here, she shared this 3 days ago. This is the importance of diversifying your food preservation. She said she waited a couple of weeks to post this because she was upset with herself and extremely emotional over this huge mistake. I can understand that. I'd be pretty upset too. She said she even debated about should she post it because people can be mean on the internet. Hey folks, don't be mean. Don't be mean. Anyway, if you can do anything in life, be nice. There's no reason to be hateful and mean. But anyway, as she said, it's important to turn failures into mistakes into learning opportunities for themselves and others. Said this costly mistake is a perfect example of how important it is to diversify your food preservation methods, or at least spread your produce out into different freezers. So the mistake she says she made is she didn't close the freezer door all the way after putting groceries up. Could happen to any of us. Probably has happened to most of us, if we're being honest. Said the freezer was open all night and morning, and everything had to be thrown out, the freezer disinfected, and the garage washed out. So the terrible thing was they lost all of the gator meat that Kevin had just harvested from his once-in-a-lifetime gator hunt. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, for those of you that have had gator, delicious. All of the wild hog meat he harvested, all the catfish they caught, the remaining grass-fed beef they had, freshly picked peaches and blackberries, and freezer meals they had just purchased from the store. Man, you want to talk about, that's painful. I'm sorry, Rachel. Man, that is painful. Keith, like I said, he knows all about it. Said they had talked about freeze drying the meat, but they had veggies already going in their freeze dryer. They could have preserved the meat in several other ways, such as canning, dehydrating, etc., but they just didn't. Vacuum sealed the meat and put it all in one freezer. Hey, listen, we're all guilty of it. I've got one deep freeze, and I've got another one on the homestead, but we'll get more. But that's just something that's just a simple mistake that anybody could make. But she chose to share that so we could all learn. So talking about being willing to be humble and willing to kind of take it on the chin, so to speak, to kind of share so that others can learn. And how to do this, and look into different ways of preserving your food, and don't, the old saying, don't have all your eggs in one basket. I think that was kind of what she was getting at here. But they share so much with us there at Hidden Heights. I mean, everything that happens with their animals and their properties and stuff, and to be able to share a mistake that we can all learn from, just go to show you can be doing this stuff for a long time and still have a bad day. So hey, hats off to you, Rachel, and Hidden Heights Farms, Kevin, y'all guys. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for giving us a lesson we can all learn from. So look into ways that you can diversify how you preserve your food. So, we go back to prepare for the unexpected, and they're prepared for things, and as well as their daily living, and to have that happen, terrible. But thanks for sharing. We can all learn from it, and we all have learned from it. So hats off to Hidden Heights Farm this week in our homestead highlights, and we'll be seeing you soon there. So there we go. I forgot. I'm gonna go back. I forgot a news article that I had clicked on earlier. It's a new thing. Colorado ranchers can kill wolves that are attacking livestock, federal officials say. What's going on is they're reintroducing wolves on the western slope of Colorado. And that's been a big story, that's going on, because the farmers and stuff out there, they haven't had it, and they're reintroducing these wolves. And, these people wanted to be able to protect their livestock and their animals and their farms. And so, anyway, it's just part of this. It's part of an experiment, basically, is what I gather. But anyway, you can check that out on the Journal. That's thejournal.com, Colorado Ranchers. Hey, just one little thing that I forgot to share. So there you go. Excuse me, folks. But yeah, there you go. It was you've had the Farm2Table Report. We went over news. We went over a little bit of history. I spent some time there because, man, that was just a crazy, interesting story that caught my attention of, something that happened right here in this country. We talked about the upcoming events, and we've talked about the homestead highlight for this week. We'll have a different homestead next week, most likely. But hey, thanks again to Hidden Heights Farm for everything they've done for us, and at the Farm2Table Direct Show, they've been a good ally, and we appreciate it very much. So you can check them out on YouTube, Facebook, all those places. But anyway, folks, that's kind of the report for this week. I want to thank you for joining in and watching, and look forward to future reports. We're going to try to do this every week, so mark it on your calendar, set your alarm, hey, that's what's happening, and we'll be here trying to bring in the latest and greatest to you. But anyway, thanks for joining us, and as far as the Farm2Table Ratio, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, share, all those things on the channel, and of course you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on iHeart, Spotify, of course here on YouTube, Rumble, all of those places. So if you think we're doing a good job bringing quality information, let us know, leave a comment, tell us what you think about the Farm2Table Report, and what we've been doing. And as I told you, we are working on Homestead. I am working on the new channel, 3 Nails Homestead. I've got quite a bit of video. We've been up working on the place, getting ready to move up there. And as I get that edited, get the channel built. If you've been out looking for it, I'm sorry I haven't been able to get it done. No excuses, not going to make them. Just time schedule is what it is. But we will get it out, and hopefully y'all can, hopefully y'all will follow us over there as well. As we document our adventure onto the homestead life and getting everything on the property done. But anyway, that'll be 3 Nails Homestead when we get that out. Again, just thank you again for joining us. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. And the Farm2Table Direct Show's got some upcoming exciting stuff going on. Getting ready to go on the road. Doing some field time. We've got some things set up. Don't want to give too much away about it, but it's going to be great stuff. And follow us along on our journey as we become the hub. As we feel that community building and networking is super important in the homesteading community. Is the place that we find the most like-minded people. But anyway, that's the direction we're going, as we talked about on a previous episode. I'm not going to beat that drum over too much. But anyway, get out there, do what you got to do every day, and put food back. Anyway, I'm not going to linger much longer. I'm just going to go ahead and sign this off. I'm going to use the same sign off that we use on the Farm to Table Direct Show, because while this is the Farm to Table Report, it is a part of the Farm to Table Direct Show. So from the Farm to Table Report, this is Ryan saying prepare for the unexpected and keep it local.